Hmm. What's going on, boys? We're live. Let me just double and triple check everything's working well. There we go. Is it working? There we go. There we go. Okay. Let me just set this goal quickly. Hmm. Sorry, boys. One second. Hey, what's going on? I'm doing well. How are you on the kick side of things? I'm just trying to set this goal. Nice, nice. That's good. That's good to hear. There we go. All right. Sorry for that interruption. That should be good. So, what's going on, fellas? Obviously, we're streaming again. We got UFC 317 tomorrow, the night before. So, I thought I'd hop on a stream, and talk about final predictions, talk about fights with you guys a little bit, maybe give out some free bets again. There's a couple of plays that I like on this upcoming card. Love speak well. Thank you, thank you. How are your streams going? They're going well. Everything's going well. Just started streaming a little bit more frequently. Have a little bit of a streaming setup going, and yeah, that's a part of it. We're doing or a stream every day during the week, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we have one stream on Sundays, 2 p.m. Eastern. So we're just continuing with that. But yeah, so of course, this upcoming weekend we have UFC 317. I don't have too much prepared or anything, but I thought we'd look at this pretty quickly. You have nice hair. Thank you. But I thought we'd look at this quickly. We have some crazy here, but it's just showing the speed is still there at 155. A lot of times when people move up a weight class, their speed isn't necessarily the same at 155 or at that higher weight class as compared to where they were previous. But for Tabora, it seems like the speed's still there. He definitely got a little bit bigger. I know some people on X were talking about him looking essentially the same as 145, but I think he did get a little bit bigger, to be honest. So it'll be interesting to see how his power translates to 155, coming up from 145. Is his power still going to be the same? That if he lands one shot, he's going to knock out essentially everybody. We'll see what happens there. But I definitely am excited to see this fight for sure, and how this fight pans out. Um, yeah, I mean, besides that, we can quickly look at some bets. Obviously, we have Jake Paul fight tomorrow. If you guys are interested, I'm personally going to watch the UFC, but we have that. So, yeah, we actually had a fighter miss weight by 10 pounds, which is kind of insane, and he got cut immediately. So we have one less fight on the card. Who knows if it would have been good or anything? But what are you gonna do? So, on this card, some of these bets are confident, and some of these bets are just, flyers. I'll let you know for each one. So, for this one, I think, fight, does go the distance. Kind of a flyer play for me. I don't know much about, Alpha Hines, but, I've seen Dean's fight a couple times in the UFC thus far, and, and, he doesn't go for it all that much in some of his fights. Um, but yeah, what's going on, Ryan? Ryan says, who you got for Pantoja? I'm leaning for Pantoja. Sorry if I missed your comment before, but I'm leaning for Pantoja. What about you? What do you think? Um, yeah, so in this fight, I kind of like fight to go the distance just because Deans doesn't push too much. It's a flyer play. be at a +270. See what happens there, of course. Um, Other things that I like is Borshev money line, especially Terrence McKinney almost missed weight. He actually made it the last second, but he struggled to cut the weight a little bit, so that's definitely interesting to see how that pans out. So I do like Borshev, but also kind of a flyer. He could certainly get knocked out in the first round or choke out possibly. Um, Other plays that I like is Hadar Emil. This line is actually tightening up a little bit. I think this fight is going to be a really good one, regardless of betting. Um, but should be good. We'll see what happens. But I kind of like the value in Hadar Emil. Puts combos together well, hits pretty hard, can take a shot really well. Had a couple of upset wins back to back in his last few, and yeah, and also undefeated, of course. He does a lot of good things. So I like Hadar Emil. I like Jack Hermanson. This line is continuously going the other way, actually, which is interesting. Kind of getting better and better value on this guy. Listen, I could be completely off basis here, but I kind of think Jack's going to win. He hasn't fought in a while, so that's the concern. But the reason why I think he's going to win is because I think he's going to do a good job at utilizing footwork, skirting along the octagon side, utilizing jabs, leg kicks. I don't know if Rod's a guy that's going to get the cage effectively and force Hermanson into a firefight. So I lean Hermanson in that fight. Um, some plus 3.5, plus 3.5. That's fair. Um, or check. So, yeah, honestly, plus 3.5 on Hermanson's probably not bad. The only thing though is if Girod wins, I think he'll probably win by a finish. Because if things are going Girod's way, he's probably going to be cutting off the cage effectively, forcing Hermanson into a firefight. And if Hermanson gets into that firefight, I think Girod's going to eventually be able to land a huge shot and maybe finish him. So that's the only thing I'll say about Hermanson plus 3.5. Um, but for KKF, I mean, possible as well. But I kind of think there's going to be a finish in that fight. So listen, maybe KKF lands a huge punch and he finds a finish over Pantoja, and of course that would hit. But I kind of feel like it's going to be a finish either way. So either finish for KKF or finish for Pantoja, especially if it goes to the ground. So that's the only thing I'll say about that. But outside of those plays, I also like Lima by submission. This line's actually getting a little bit better. Um, Reason being is Talbot, struggled a little bit in his last fight against the wrestling, and I think Felipe Lima is probably even a better wrestler than who Talbot fought Barcelos in his last fight. So it'll be interesting to see if Lima looks to go for takedowns and looks to wrestle. I think he probably will. Um, so yeah, so if he's able to get the fight to the ground, I don't mind Felipe by submission, but at a plus 600 number, it is a little bit of a flyer. Here, I kind of like Beneil Dariush. Here, this line is constantly shifting. So I like Joshua Van in this fight. In the Pantoja fight, I think Pantoja is going to win. But I would like Pantoja by submission, plus 220. But the bet that I really, really like from this fight is under 4.5 rounds. As I said, I think one of these guys are going to find a finish. Um, so, getting like pretty even money on that, on a fight like that, I think is probably pretty good. Main event, I kind of like under 1.5 rounds. Easily can miss, but you're getting plus money on two guys that move forward and two guys that really go for it. I don't think that's bad value necessarily. So I kind of like that. Outside of that, you can go Charles by KO at plus 1,000. As I said, I think Ilya's going to win, and I think he's going to find a finish within the first 2 rounds. But Charles is still really dangerous. Ilya is going to be smaller. He's moving up to a higher weight class, and Charles is actually a really big 155er. So getting Charles, a dangerous guy like Charles, at plus 1,000 to get a TKO probably is not bad value. As I said, I think Ilya's going to win, but in terms of the value, it's probably pretty good. So maybe you can go with that. Also, maybe you can go with Ilya by submission. Reason being is it's possible that Ilya drops Charles Oliveira and then he jumps on top of him and finds a submission, similarly to what Islam Makhachev did. I don't think it's super likely that happens, but possible some value there on a finish for Ilya Victoria. And yeah, I mean, those are the best that I like for UFC 217. Definitely a decent amount of plays, I would say. Um, but and then obviously here's the card that we were looking at. Really good main event, obviously. Really good co-main event, really good main card. I would say every fight in the main card is pretty good. Prelims even pretty good. I would say that the prelims names aren't necessarily the biggest, but the fights themselves are pretty good. And obviously the early prelims, I would say some. Although we are missing a couple of fights here. Let's screen this. Um, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Um, but but yeah, so it should be definitely really good, for sure, and we'll see what happens. In terms of like other value than what I gave up, I don't really see much, honestly. And I kind of like have the mindset because I know a lot of people like to maybe over bet sometimes, and I've certainly done that in the past, where I would bet like every fight, or I would bet multiple things on the fight. But it's not great. Obviously, you lose money like that. So I'm just kind of finding bets now that I really like, and putting together a little bit of a slate. Obviously, I'll give it out to you boys. For free. But yeah, so that's what I like on the card. Should definitely be good. We have the ceremonial weigh-ins going on right now, I believe, or maybe it just finished. Um, but yeah, I didn't think. I know a lot of was made about the size difference between Charles and Taporia, just because Taporia is coming up to 145, obviously, and Charles, I would consider him to be a pretty big 155er. So obviously Ilya is a huge favorite, but that was definitely something on some people's minds. How would the size difference look? I didn't think it looked too bad, honestly. Charles is certainly bigger, obviously, taller, longer, and maybe even a little bit more built. Or like a wider frame, I guess. But I don't think it matters. I mean, Ilya's fought so many guys that are bigger than him. Max Holloway, even when he moved up to 155, I guess. Forgetting his name, but the British guy. Um, and even I want some other guys in 45 have been bigger than Ilya, and it really hasn't mattered for him at all. So, as I said, official prediction for this fight is I think Ilya is probably going to get on the inside. I think he's going to land, put combos together, land body shots, and eventually land a huge shot. It'll be interesting to see that first shot that lands on Charles, how he takes it, or if he gets knocked out. Um, it'll be interesting to see. I think Charles probably will be able to take some more shots than maybe some other guys. Like I think he'll be able to take more shots than Volkanovski was able to. Max Holloway took a decent amount of shots before he was finished. So we'll see how Charles figures up to that, or how much he even gets hit. As I said, I think for Charles, he's going to look to wrestle. He's going to look to stand the outside. He's going to look to kick a lot, get in the clinch maybe. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. Yeah, it's just a 3-inch difference. I'd be curious to see what the reach difference is, but honestly, I don't think it matters. Ilya actually has a pretty good reach for his height, and also he kind of like does it to everybody where he just gets in boxing rooms. So it doesn't really matter what the reach is. But let's see. Charles Oliveira. Charles. They have the wrong picture for Charles Oliveira. They have Dan Hooker for Oliveira. Uh, but I listen. I don't think it's gonna be that. Bronx is going to push forward and pressure Ilya. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll try to at the very least. That's really where he has his most success. Um, but it's going to be interesting to see how Ilya responds to that. And if Charles is going to press forward, which I'm sure he will, if he's successfully pressuring, it's going to go well for him, or he's going to be in the spot. But just to get there, he's going to put himself in a little bit of danger. Because at least for a certain amount of time, they're going to be in the pocket together if Charles is pressing forward. We'll see how that I do agree. I think he'll probably look to push forward. He always does that, and that's really where he has the most success. River Rat, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. $500 bet on and I get it. That cash is gonna hit like crack. Um, it's, pretty decent plus money as well, so we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't think it's a horrible value bet on Charles. I'm just personally leaning with it, but it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, as I said, he's moving up weight class, um, and we'll see how it pans out. But yeah. By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, just hit that like button if you can. I would appreciate it quite a lot. Yeah, so thanks for just being here, boys. Really appreciate it. And we have essentially a daily live stream, just kinda on talking about fights. Kind of been waiting all week, to be honest, for UFC 217. I think it's gonna be really good. Probably the best card all year, at least on paper. There really hasn't been too many good cards this year on paper, and even not too many good cards, like how it played out. There's been a few cards that I was excited about that didn't pan out all that well. Um, but yeah, let's look through some of the previews. Wade Makhachev versus Moicano, that was kind of a it's kind of a weird one. I think the card was solid. You had Ritter versus Kevin Holland. You had Almeida versus Spivak. You had Yuri versus Hill. That was a good one. Rob versus Kumar was honestly an amazing fight. But the main event wasn't great. Um, and Strickland, that was not good. What else? What else? Pereira versus Live. That main event wasn't great, but some of the other fights were solid. Um, what else? Then we had Volkanovski versus Lopez. I would say that main event was pretty good. The main event was also good with Patty and Chandler. Um, Gene Silver versus Bryce Mitchell was a good one. Dominic Reyes versus Philip. Honestly, that was a pretty good one. UFC 314 was a pretty good one. I think this is probably better on paper, but that was a good one. And then you had Bilal versus JDM. That was a great card. And then, of course, most recently we had Merab versus Sean O'Malley. Also, honestly, not a great card. A lot of weird performances from Patchy Mix was a weird performance. Even from Joe Piper, that's kind of weird. Kind of played it safe. Josh Van versus so was good. But yeah, the point is, this upcoming card is definitely going to be the best card that we've had in a while, and definitely the best on paper of the year. So I'm definitely really excited about that one. Um, yeah, uh, I definitely will come on live stream after the card's over tomorrow, um, just to give an analysis after the fight's over. We'll see who wins, obviously. I think it should be a good one. Uh, let's see. Um, let's see something. Mm. Yeah, we'll see how Taporia looks. I mean, he's talked a lot about him cutting weight at 145, and it's been getting too much. Of course, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he is pretty muscle bound. So we'll see how he looks at 155. Definitely would be interesting to see. I'm also assuming they're probably going to announce Islam Makhachev's next fight relatively soon. Him versus JDM for the belt at 170. Should be interesting. Yeah, so they had the ceremonial weigh-ins already. And Ilya says he's going to destroy. John, welcome to the stream, John. How do you think light heavyweight Gelton would do against the current light heavyweights? I think he would actually do pretty well. Little surprised he moved up to heavyweight. Maybe just wanted to bulk up and he didn't want to weight cut or cut weight. I think he'd probably do pretty well though. There's not too many wrestlers at light heavyweight. Let's see. Let's take a look at the list. So at light heavyweight, let's just go through. Let's just go through the top 10. So Krylov is pretty good on the ground. He has pretty good jiu-jitsu, but I don't think Jaldan would, get submitted by him. So I think Jaldan probably beats him. Ozdemir, I think Jaldan probably takes him down and subs him. Dominic Reyes, that could be an interesting one. Maybe a little bit tougher for Jaldan if you can't take him down and if he's stuck on the feet with a guy with good power and good countering. So that could be interesting. Rakic, that's an interesting fight. Jamal Hill has pretty good takedown defense. He showed. That's interesting. Jan Blachowicz is a little bit older. His takedown defense is not good though, so maybe he'll do well against him. Roundtree gets taken down a little bit, so that'll be interesting. Olberg, interesting. Yuri, I think Yuri's a tough fight for Jalton. I think Yuri beats him. Pereira, John says, I think he'd be Pereira. Um, yeah, I think it's an interesting one for sure. I could definitely see him beating him. Just the thing is, Alex did show a pretty good ability to stop takedowns. Now, obviously, Uncle Live's a different wrestler than Shelton Almeida is. I mean, Shelton was tossing around a 280-pound guy in Curtis Blades, who also has pretty good wrestling. So, yeah, maybe Shelton will be able to throw around Alex Pereira. And if he was able to, then yeah, I'm sure he would be able to find the victory. So actually, I think I'd probably agree with you, John. I think he actually would beat Alex. But maybe initially there'll be that danger that Charlton has to face. Because on the feet, Charlton is not all that polished. He's getting a little bit better, I would say, but he wouldn't have much for Alex in the stand up. It would just be get the takedown, and if he does, he'll have a lot of success, kind of thing. And him against Magomed, probably tough fight. I think Magomed could stop takedowns, and if Charlton's stuck on the feet against Magomed, I don't think it would go great for him. But definitely would be interesting. I think there's a lot of guys he could beat at light heavyweight. I also think there's guys he could beat at heavyweight. So it's two divisions that I don't think are all that good. Either one of them actually. Um, but yeah, maybe he just wanted to bulk up. He thinks he can do better at heavyweight than light heavyweight. He decided to go with that. Um, and yeah, so John says I think he'd be Pereira. I think I would probably agree, but it'll be interesting to see how that first round looks, and how the beginning of every round looks when he's stuck on the feet against Alex, at least for a little bit. Um, but yeah, and then he said, imagine what he'd do to Khalil. Yeah, Khalil definitely has struggled with takedown defense in the past. If it's a fully stand up fight, Khalil does pretty well, and he's getting better. But he certainly has struggled with had trouble with wrestlers in the past for sure. So a wrestler like Jalton, it probably would give him some problems. Um, I actually think Jalton is a little bit underrated, to be honest. His wrestling, as I said, is really good. I mean, if you're tossing around a guy like Curtis Blades, I know in the second round it was kind of like a weird sequence where I wouldn't say that he gave up, but it seemed like he just didn't know what to do. And he got finished from there. But if you watch that first round, his wrestling is honestly like elite. Tossing around Curtis Blades is really impressive. Regardless of his takedown defense, which is solid, he's also like, as I said, like 280 pounds plus, whatever he is. So really, really strong guy in Gelatin. So yeah, I would agree with you, John, though. I think he probably does pretty well at 205. Um, but yeah. Let's see. What else? Brown says, I seen Izzy Strickland 2 in the works for UFC Abu Dhabi in October. That's an interesting one, I guess. I always thought that it was a weird performance from Izzy. Maybe Strickland just has a style to beat Izzy, but I always thought, if they rematched, Izzy would probably win. I mean, the first fight was so dominant and so one-sided. I don't have any, like, I guess, evidence to support that, at least from the first fight. But I just think Izzy's too good of a striker to not be able to figure it out. And I don't know. So honestly, I think I would lean Izzy. And also, the thing with Izzy at this point is, I know a lot of people think he's washed, but I personally thought he looked really good in his last fight against Imavov in the first round. He just got caught in that second round, and his chin's not the same as it used to be. But I think in terms of his offensive striking and all that, I think he's still kind of there. I just think his defense is not as good as it was. Maybe his movement's not as good as it was, and also his chin is certainly not as good as it was. So, but if he went up against a guy like Strickland, who's he doesn't hit all that hard, not too dangerous, I think Izzy could definitely do well against him. Maybe he has a little bit of a different game plan going into this fight. But yeah, I think I would lean Izzy in that fight. Also, Alex Magomed in the works for Abu Dhabi in October as the main event. Yeah, I did hear that. That they're trying to put that together. That would make sense to me. It always felt like Alex was getting the next title shot, and he should. He deserves it. He had a bunch of title defenses, and he was a champion for a long time. And he saved a lot of events for the UFC. So I definitely do think. He deserves the next title shot, and it also makes sense that it'll be in October, because Pereira did say that his body was getting tired after a while, and just taking a little bit of a break at this point, I think would make more sense, especially considering that he lost to Magomed. He probably needs to make some adjustments, need to make some changes. So in October, it would give him some time. I don't remember when they fought the first time, um, but it would definitely give him some time to rest and recover for sure. So that makes sense. John says, "How do you think MVP versus Strickland at middleweight would go?" Um, it's honestly funny. Both of them are kind of guys that make other guys struggle on the feet. They both have, like, really weird styles. I would say MVP more than Strickland, where, a lot of strikers just can't figure out MVP. It's such a weird style, him bouncing around like that, throwing the 1-2, like, really quickly. And Strickland also is, like, very defensively sound, doesn't get hit all that much. Um, I don't know, though. I would probably say Mm, well, Strickland's gonna pressure MVP for sure. He is pretty defensively sound, or very defensively sound, actually. He got hit a little bit by DDP, but that's DDP. I don't know. That's a really weird fight, actually. I don't know, to be honest. Maybe I lean Strickland a little bit. I don't know, though, to be honest. That's a weird one. Um, Torrent says Izzy Strickland will be the co-main event on that. I mean, that's a good card. That would be a good card if they're able to put that together for sure. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. I don't think Izzy's washed. I don't think so either. A lot of people think that for some of his recent fights, but I kind of, as I said, I think his chin is just not there the same way as it was in the past. Izzy used to have an insane chin. I mean, he was taking left hooks from Alex Pereira. Eventually, he got finished in the 5th round of their first fight, but still, he was taking some left hooks in their second fight. Even in the first fight, I believe he landed a couple big shots, and he was able to take it. So, I mean, his chin's not the same, but in terms of him being washed, I agree. I don't think he's washed. Since boxing is putting on the fight card in September, Crawford and Canelo, UFC definitely has to step it up and put on a huge fight. I definitely agree. I definitely would like to see them step it up. I mean, this is obviously a good card. It's definitely a step in the right direction, but of course, you want to see more cards. And yeah, I mean, if they put together a uh, Pereira versus Magomed is the main event, and Izzy versus Strickland for the co-main, that'd be good. It would be interesting to see Izzy not in the main event. The first time in a really long time. Not a title fight, and obviously it wouldn't be a fight night either. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I agree. I hope they do put more things together. Hey, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. How much time was left for that fight? I believe it was like a minute left. No, sorry. No, that's not true. I think Alex finished Izzy like very early on into that 5th round. So I don't know exactly how much time. Maybe 3 minutes was left, or three and a half, 4 minutes possibly. But it was pretty early in that 5th round. I remember Alex pressured immediately, um, pressured Izzy to the fence, started putting combos together, landed that big left hook, hurt Izzy, threw a couple more shots, and it was over from there. It was pretty quick in that 5th round. Torrance says, I wouldn't mind seeing Izzy move up to light heavyweight, but this time he should put on some more size like Holloway did when he came up to lightweight. Yeah, I probably would agree. He definitely put on a decent amount more size when he fought Dricus. But it's a double-edged sword, obviously. I mean, Izzy moving up to light heavyweight could be interesting for sure. But it's a take and give. He'll probably hit a little bit harder. He'll probably be able to stop more takedowns at light heavyweight, especially if he bulked up. But he's probably not going to be as fast. And at this point, as I said, like, his chin's not really there the same way as it was. And if he's not as fast, his reactions aren't necessarily all there. It could be a problem for him against some of these bigger punchers at light heavyweight. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't hate the idea for sure. And also, I just don't know if Izzy wants to do that or how much time he has left in his career, I guess. But we'll see what happens. I don't mind it, though. For the Topuria Oliveira fight. What do you mean? My prediction? Well, my prediction, I think Ilya's going to win. I think he's going to win within the first 2 rounds, probably at TKO. But, I mean, listen, you can never count out Charles Oliveira. He's super dangerous. Going to be decent amount bigger, I would say, than Ilya. but we'll see what happens. Uh, but yeah, so that's what I think for that fight. I think Taporia wins round one, round two knockout. If I had to guess. Darren says, just imagine Izzy versus Khalil Roundtree. That would be good. That would be a really, really good fight, actually. That'll be good. I mean, Khalil is honestly on the way up. He looked even though it was a little bit of a slower fight, I guess. I mean, I thought he looked really good against Jamal Hill. Jamal kind of, isn't too diverse. He kind of just has a jab left straight, honestly. And Khalil showed that he was a lot more technical. He kind of showed levels, and he showed that he got way better than what he was against Alex Pereira. At least in my opinion, I thought that. So it would be really cool to see Izzy versus Khalil. That'd be a really good fight, actually. Um, and I would book Yuri versus Roundtree for MSG in November. I don't mind that at all. That would be an amazing fight, Roundtree versus Yuri. Definitely would be very interesting. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll see. I think there's a lot of options for Khalil, and I think there's a lot of options for the top of the light heavyweight division. To be honest, you got a couple guys on the up and up. Even a Dominic Reyes. I mean, he's on the up and up. I kind of want to see Dominic Reyes versus Jamal Hill. Reason being is because if Dominic Reyes is able to beat Jamal Hill, then he's really going to get close to a title shot, which would be an amazing story for him. But I mean, Jamal is very, very durable, and obviously he is very powerful, regardless of how diverse he is on the feet. But I think that'll be an interesting fight. I think probably someone's getting knocked out in that fight. Um, the only reason why I say probably not definitely is because Jamal is super durable, but we'll see. And how much time left for the Victoria? What do you mean? What do you mean? How much time's left? It didn't happen yet. Um, but uh, but yeah, I think Taporia is going to win in the round one or two. Also booked Jamal Hill versus Nikita Krylov for December pay-per-view fight. I don't mind that either. The only thing is for Krylov, he is coming off a TKO loss. I don't know if you want him to fight ahead in the rankings because I don't know what he's ranked. Let's see. Krylov is ranked 10 and Jamal's 6. So I don't know if you want to give him a step up like that in the rankings. But I mean for a fight wise, I don't mind. I don't mind either. Could be interesting. John's nervous. Or is it from the Dominic Reyes versus Jamal Hill suggestion? Torres says, I don't even follow boxing like that, but I'll definitely be turning in for Crawford Canelo. Me too. I would say I'm like a regular, kind of a casual in terms of boxing. I know I usually watch the big fights, but I don't really know too much about some of the other guys. The problem with boxing is honestly on a lot of these cards, um, and a lot of these cards are these boxing cards. We have a really good main event in some of these cards, but some of the other fights on the card are just not good at all. That's the one draw about the UFC. But they can't lose that. They can't just not give us great cards anymore. But we'll see what happens. I believe Jamal Hill needs a winnable fight. I don't see him beating Dom Reyes. That's fair. That is fair. Can he beat Nikita Krylov? I think he probably does. I would agree with you that he would beat Krylov. I think Krylov would probably shoot for takedowns, but Jamal Hill has shown the ability to stop takedowns in the past. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate Jamal Hill versus Krylov, or I think Jamal Hill versus Dominic Reyes is a really exciting one. And yeah, as you said, maybe Dom may actually win that fight. In the chrono, yeah, he's more winnable than Hill. That's fair. That's fair. John says no. I just like sending that emoji. That's fair. That's fair. Um, but uh, but yeah, definitely some action at light heavyweight. If I had to personally match make for light heavyweight, I would do Alex versus Magomed. I think that's essentially set in stone. I would do Yuri versus Roundtree, probably. That's probably what I'd do. Then I would personally do Jamal Hill versus Dominic Reyes just because Jamal lost, so he's going to fight back in the rankings. He's number 6. Dominic is number 8. And Dominic is on a little bit of a win streak at this point, so he's probably going to fight ahead in the rankings. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Jamal, maybe he needs a winnable fight, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I think he could beat Dominic Reyes if he's able to land a left hand on Dom, but we'll see what happens there. And then the other matchmaking I would do is I'd probably do Carlos Ulberg versus I don't know actually. I don't know who I do Carlos Ulberg versus. Maybe Rakic. The only problem is Ulberg is like very close to a title and he's on a win streak a little bit, so you probably want to give him someone ahead of him in the rankings. But Alex and Yuri are the only two guys that are ahead of him, and Alex is going to get a title shot, and Yuri, I believe, probably should fight Roundtree. I think that's a better fight. But I guess you could do Yuri versus Ulberg. I just personally prefer Yuri versus Roundtree. I think that's an absolute banger. So I don't know. There's a lot of movement at light heavyweight, especially at the top. Um, we do have Zhang versus Johnny Walker already booked, so we'll see how that goes. I'm sure Zhang's going to win that. Um, but yeah, honestly, towards the bottom of light heavyweight, it's not great. But towards the top, there's actually some decent names. I mean, Jan Blachowicz even is a good fighter. The problem with Jan is he's just too old at this point, I think. I actually thought he beat Carlos Holberg, but um, you know, it's kind of unfortunate they took the decision away, and he's like 42 or however old he is. So I don't think he's going to get an opportunity to get another title shot, unfortunately. But yeah, Torrent says apparently the UFC is looking to book Patty a fight. I have a feeling it's probably going to be Gaethje for October in Abu Dhabi. I hope so. As I said, my plan, if I were the UFC, or what I would want to see happen, is I really want to see Patty versus Gaethje, just because I think Gaethje is probably the most winnable fight for Patty out of some of the other guys at the top of 155. I mean, listen, he could beat other guys for sure, but I just think Patty will be able to take Gaethje down, and if he takes him down, I think it'll be a relatively easy submission, actually. I don't think Gaethje really knows what he's doing on the ground, to be completely honest. He has good takedown defense, but once he's on the ground, um, he tends to get submitted a lot, actually. So yeah, so that's what I would like them to put together. And if Patty is able to win, I would like to see Patty versus Ilya. That's just me. Um, I know Gaethje wants to fight for the title next. I don't really get that. Like, who's telling him that? I don't think he deserves a title shot next. I think he should fight one more time before he gets that next title shot. I mean, he's on a one fight win streak. Or is it two? No, it's one. Yeah, he just lost to Max before that. So, yeah, I don't know. They probably can convince Gaethje to fight Patty, probably give him a big bag, and promise a title shot if he wins. Yeah, I mean, if Gaethje beats Patty, he definitely deserves a title shot at that point. I just saw reports that he wants a title shot now. He's waiting for that. I even saw Ilya saying that if he wins, he's expecting to fight Gaethje next. I don't know. I don't think he deserves it, but I guess we'll see what happens there. As I said, I'm hoping Patty versus Gaethje, and the winner fights for the title. But yeah. Far as Armand, far is Armand. Give him Hooker next. Hooker versus Armand would be a good one. The problem with Hooker is I think his hand is still broken. He broke his fight going into the Gaethje fight. He had to get surgery, and I mean, it wasn't that recently, but I saw a picture of his hand like not too long ago, and it's still like really mangled. This is probably like a week or two ago. So I just don't know when Hooker's going to be available to fight again. That's the only thing I'll say about that one. But in terms of the matchmaking itself, Armin versus Hooker, I don't mind that. Um, it'll be interesting. It's interesting, like where Armin falls into all of this, though, because if they do Gaethje versus Patty, next guy gets the belt. Armin's the backup fighter for this card, or for this main event. So it's just interesting to see like where he'll possibly fall into things. I don't know. I don't know. Gaethje said only how you can fight. Wait, Gaethje said only how you can fight another contender if they give him a big bag. Oh, okay. But if he said no, yeah. Yeah. I mean, just give him a big bag. I guess I don't know. I do definitely think they should do Patty versus Gaethje, but we'll see what happens on that front. Do you follow NBA? I do. I'm a Knicks fan. What about you? What was your favorite team? Who do you follow? Just had the NBA draft yesterday and the day before. Interesting, I guess. Well, actually, not that interesting. But yeah, but yeah. Also, if you guys are enjoying the stream, I appreciate all the comments and everything. Um, but if you're enjoying it, just feel free to drop a like. Feel free to drop a super chat if you guys are enjoying the stream. But obviously, no obligation or anything. I appreciate you guys being here, and thanks so much. I really do appreciate it. Torrin follows Boston. Okay, okay. Says Boston made some dumb trades. I thought the Porzingis trade was weird, but maybe he has some sort of illness. I mean, well, he definitely has some sort of illness, so maybe they don't think he's going to be effective anymore. I actually thought the Drew Holiday trade was good though, in my opinion. You're getting a young guy, you're saving money with Anthony Simons. He's also a lot younger than Drew Holiday is. And I think he's pretty good. Good scorer. How does he fit in with Boston? We'll see, I guess. Um, but uh, but yeah, I mean, Drew Holiday didn't play great in the playoffs. Definitely didn't play well in the Knicks series. But uh, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how those trades pan out. And New York should have added Kevin Durant. All they needed to get over the hump. That's fair. I mean, I think the reason why they didn't was because if they were going to trade Karl Anthony Towns, I think they just wanted to trade him for Giannis. And if it wasn't Giannis, they didn't really want to move on from him. Maybe they were thinking about trading him for KD, but I think the reason they didn't want him is because he's 37. You're going to need to trade away Towns, or if not, you'll probably need to trade away Mikal Bridges and somebody else, or OG Anunoby and someone else. So I honestly think it was just the age thing. That's why they didn't go for KD. But I mean, KD's still KD, so definitely would have been interesting. If the Knicks had KD, they probably would have beaten Indiana in these conference finals. Fair, fair. I think the Knicks were so close. It's just that game one was so bad. Um, but yeah, it's fair. But yeah, I mean the East is so open. Unfortunately, Tatum's going to be out for Boston, so I don't think they're going to be much of a threat, honestly. Pacers, I mean Halliburton's going to be out, so we'll see how that goes. It's probably only the Cavs, and I don't even think the Cavs are that great. They're good in the regular season, but in the playoffs they always choke. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, welcome everyone to the stream. We have UFC 317 coming up tomorrow. Should be a really really good one. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments about it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fights that I'm really looking forward to on this card. Fight of the night, I think, is going to be Delgado versus Hader Emil. Either that one or the main event. I think it's going to be really good as well. But yeah, I mean, there's so many good fights on this card. It's definitely very refreshing. I mean, um, you know, we haven't seen a good card in a while, honestly, and just to get a good card again, a really good card is certainly really refreshing. This year has been kind of tough, to be completely honest, but yeah. Um, Torrance says, I don't even see Boston making the playoffs. If we do, we'll probably be home in the first round. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I think they'll make the playoffs. I think the East is pretty open. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I could be wrong. But yeah, I don't think they'll go far without Tatum. And they made some trades and the rosters not what it was last year for sure. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah. Should be a good card. Let me just check Twitter quick if we have any breaking news or anything happened at the ceremonials. When I was streaming, they had the ceremonial weigh-ins going on, so curious to see. Yeah, here, let me pull this up actually. This is kind of what I was talking about before. Let's see. Let's see if I can pull this up. Here we go. Let's do this. Let's go here. Yeah, so here's a size difference. It's really like not that profound. Um, so we get a further shot. I guess like here. Honestly, the size difference is not that pronounced. So I don't think it's going to be a huge issue for Ilya moving up to 155. But we will see. We'll see how the power lands, and yeah, I mean Charles obviously is bigger, but we'll see. It should be interesting. Let's see though. If there's anything else. I have Joshua Van on the card. It'll be interesting to see where Van's career goes. I think Van is honestly going to win against Royval. We'll see what happens. Huge step up, and Royval is going to be, you know, decent amount bigger and longer than Van. But we will see what happens in that fight. Should be an interesting one for sure. Um, but yeah, so we have fighting nerds there with City Kickboxing. Oh, oh man. Rahul Rosas accidentally punched a fan in the head. Let me pull that up. Oh man. Let's see if we can pull that up. Oh, here we go. We have random fight, honestly, but we have Brennison Hibera versus Omar Sy for UFC Paris. Sy coming off a bad performance, and believe Hibera also got knocked out. Or yeah, I believe he got knocked out. Or he did. I know he did. Um, here's the video. We have Rosas punching a guy by accident. Didn't seem like it landed that hard though. But yeah, here we go. Some more fight news. Davy Grant and Damon Blackshear. Interesting fight announcement. Random fight announcement, but Blackshear's pretty good. We got some things. Muhammad Yahya versus Steven. He's not that great. Saruya. Okay. Okay. And Gary. This is a good one. I don't know why this is in the Apex. I'm a big fan of Rubovich. Really good chin. Really goes for it. Very, very physical. And does a great job of getting inside that pocket and just landing bombs. And I think he'll be able to do that against Brenner. I think he'll be able to finish Brenner. Brenner's chin is not the same as it was in the past. Not saying his chin was ever like incredible, but it seems like now his chin is like kind of gone, to be honest. So I think this is a very winnable fight, and I think Rubovich will win this fight. Just sucks to see, they put a guy like Rubovich in the Apex. Um, he's very exciting, but whatever. What can you do? They love going back to the Apex. It's unfortunate, but is what it is, I guess, right? Um, But yeah, let's see. Let's see what we got going on here. Do a little check over here. Okay. Also, I just posted a video today. I don't know if you guys saw that. I posted an in-depth breakdown of Pantoja versus KKF. Um, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, I mean, obviously, we'll see how that prediction goes. I think Pantoja is going to win. I think he'll be able to find a takedown, and if the fight does go to the ground, I think he'll find a submission. But I was also super confident that Ersheg would beat KKF. I was wrong on that. KKF just was able to land a huge shot, and that's all it took. Maybe the same could be said for this fight against Pantoja. The only thing about Pantoja though is obviously he's never been finished, and I believe he was only dropped once, and it was against Figueiredo, who hits ridiculously hard. Maybe KKF is on a similar level. I don't know. We'll see, but yeah, I definitely lean Pantoja, but he does have to worry about that big right hand, and he is a little bit hittable, I would say, well, to say the least. So it'll be an interesting fight, but we'll see what happens in that one. Um, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I have too much. Kind of just counting down the days and one more sleep. Tomorrow we got the card. Definitely excited to see what happens on it. I mean, fortunately, after this upcoming card, we got some good ones. Teixeira versus Derek Lewis, solid main event, I would say, but the rest of the card is good. Um, then after that, we have that's interesting. Yeah, literally the week after that, we have UFC 318 with Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier. Poirier's retirement fight should be interesting. Just 2 weeks away, actually. Some other good fights, solid fights in the card. Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. I think that's a good one. I kind of lean Vinicius. I was always a Vinicius fan, to be honest. Very, very physical. Honestly, he's not like the most skilled guy in the world, but he's super physical, hits really hard, and takes a shot really well. So that's why I'm a fan of him, and I think he'll go far. I think he'll beat Kyler Phillips, actually. Kyler kind of tends to gas out a little bit. We saw that a lot in his last fight against Rob Font. But we'll see what he does against Vinicius. Definitely an interesting fight. Then you have Ikram versus Bruno Ferreira. That's a good one. Um, then you have actually the prelims or the early prelims are not good. Neil Magny versus Gunnar Nelson. That's an interesting fight. Then you have Prachnio versus Jimmy Crute. Interesting, I guess. Adam Fugit versus not Islam Makhachev. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, UFC 318 is fine, I would say. Good main event, fun main event, and some other good fights. Then the week after that, yeah, we're on a good stretch here, actually. We're on a really good stretch. So we have this week UFC 317, which I think is really good. Next week we have a solid fight night, I would say. Some good fights, especially Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. I think that's a really fun one. Even Nate Landwehr versus Morgan Charrier. That's also a really fun one, and as well as others on the card. Then after that, you have UFC 318, which not the like I wouldn't say it's the best pay-per-view in the world, but really fun main event, some good main card fights, some all right prelim cards or prelim fights. So that'll be interesting at the very least. Then the week after that, you have UFC Abu Dhabi, I believe it is, with Whitaker and RDR. That's a really, really good fight. Then you have Pico versus Vloyev, also really, really good fight. You have Shara and Marc-Andre Barrio. I'm not too high on Shara, but interesting fight to say the least. And you have, actually, Krylov is fighting already. I didn't know that. You have Krylov fighting Guskov. All right, so you have that. And then you have Amabayev versus Tamirov. That'll be an interesting one. That's actually a good fight at a flyweight. Then you have Ebo fighting again. Oh, and this is the big one. You have Peter Yan fighting Marcus McGee. That's a really, really good one. Even Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov. That's a good one. Yeah, so this card is going to be good. Main event's really good, and honestly, the level of fights they have on this card is like pay-per-view level, I would say. It's this is essentially a pay-per-view without the title fight at the top, I would say. Or the title fight or a Conor fight or a Dustin versus Max fight, something like that. But in terms of like the other fights in the card, really good. Definitely very good. Fortunately, the week after that, then we go back to the Apex, and that card's not looking amazing, but some interesting fights. Amir Albazi versus Tatsuro Taira is the main event. Andre Lima's back. I've always been a big fan of Andre Lima, so we'll see how he does. But yeah, after that, I believe this is the Apex again. Yes, it definitely is. The Luce versus Anthony Hernandez. You have Steve Garcia. We have Steve Urseg fighting again against Alex Perez. It's definitely a winnable fight for Steve Urseg. Steve Urseg's such an interesting one. I always thought that Steve was really good, and I still think that. But he's coming off a few losses in a row. He lost to KKF, as I touched upon before. He also lost to Pantoja, the champion, in a really, really close fight. He also lost to Brandon Moreno in I would say, relatively close fight. Well, the rounds were close. The final score wasn't close, but the rounds were close. So I think Steve Ursig is honestly very talented and very good. It's just the problem with him is he went up against some of the best and he got caught by KKF. We'll see. I mean, listen, maybe I'm underrating KKF a lot, but we'll see what happens. I just personally think some of these other guys are just a little bit better, but the power is certainly there. Then we have UFC 319, which is going to be really, really good. Dricus and Hamzat is probably the best fight you can possibly make, in my opinion, at this point. Maybe outside of Ilya versus Islam, but that's an interesting one. Then you have Cannonier. Oh, so yeah, I forgot about this fight actually. Yeah, Michael Page is already fighting against Cannonier. It's a interesting fight, I would say. I think I lean Cannonier in that fight. Then you have Ola Jacek versus Mearshart. Interesting. Yeah, maybe they probably have to bolster this card a little bit, actually. Then you have Edson Barbosa versus Jakar Close. Always interesting to see Barbosa fight. Then you have Bobby Green versus Diego Ferreira. Um, Interesting, I guess. Brian Battle versus Ruzaboyev. That's a good fight, actually. That's a good one. Tim Elliott versus Kaya Sakura. Kaya Sakura is always exciting. Well, I guess we only saw him once, but he's definitely an exciting fighter. Then Alexander Hernandez, Chase Super. Yeah, I mean they're solid fights. Oh, and they also added Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov. That was the addition. Zell Huber versus Michael Johnson is going to be a good one. That's a fun one. Yeah, all right. I mean UFC 319 is solid, I would say. Um, oh, gee, man, tell me what parts of that's your hair. If we could hit him up for you, what? Oh, you're saying my hair sucks? um, but yeah. Um, Anyways, though, uh, definitely is interesting. Um, we'll see what happens on some of these cards, but but yeah. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about some of these upcoming cards? About some of these fights? Um, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Slow Friday, but we got the card tomorrow, so that should be good. Definitely excited about that. Let's see. Let's see if we got anything going here. Um, but yeah, yeah, we'll see what happens though. Um, May says, "What do you think about the co-main?" Yeah, I mean the co-main is a good fight. First of all, welcome to the stream. Um, but the co-main is going to be really good. I think there's almost a guaranteed to be a finish in that fight. I think Pantoja on the feet could honestly find a finish. I think KKF is pretty durable to the head. He could take a shot really well, and I think even he'll be able to take shots from Pantoja, who it's pretty hard. But I think the real possible advantage or possible area that Pantoja can go to on the feet is body kicks. We saw Moreno being able to land a body kick flush on KKF, and he was able to drop him and finish him from there. And I actually think Pantoja could do a similar thing. I mean, listen, Moreno's body kicks are certainly more snappy than Pantoja's are, but Pantoja has a solid body kick for sure. So those could possibly be open. Maybe throw some punches to the body as well. And yeah, the thing I see about KKF is he is very durable. He can take a lot of shots to the head, but to the body, I think there's a real opportunity there for Pantoja to find a finish, maybe. But outside of that, um, I think that really the path to victory is probably taking him down. Pantoja taking KKF down and finding a submission. I think that's probably the easiest fight. But yeah, thanks for the question though. And again, how much time is left for the Taporia versus Oliveira? I don't know what you mean. The fight didn't happen yet. What do you mean? Let me know. But but yeah, I think Taporia is gonna get a round one or two TKO. If that's what you're asking. How much time is left till the fight starts? Um, it's tomorrow, and it starts probably at midnight or maybe like 1 a.m., close to 1 a.m. Eastern time, if that's what you're asking. Um, but yeah, yeah, you're asking when does it start? Yeah, it's probably starts at like it's tomorrow, probably like 1 a.m. Eastern time, around probably. Uh, but yeah, thanks for the question though. But yeah, a little bit of a slower day, honestly. If you guys are enjoying the stream though, feel free to drop a super chat. Obviously, no obligation to do so. Um, But yeah, if you're enjoying the stream, it definitely helps it out a lot. Or maybe feel free to hit that like button. Also helps live stream out a lot. Just increases the visibility and it definitely helps us out a lot, or me, I guess. But yeah. So let's see. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Kind of touch upon a lot of topics. We're kind of being a little bit repetitive with UFC 317, but it's a card that we have coming up this week, and should be a good one. Definitely should be a good one. Streaming for around an hour. Um, yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If not, maybe I'll call the stream a little bit sooner. Usually we like to stream for like 2 hours, hour and a half, something like that. But but yeah, a little bit of a slower day for sure. Um, Let me know that. What do you guys think? Also, I've been having some issues with my computer a little bit, getting a little bit hot, and the live stream is a little bit laggy sometimes. But I think today we're okay on that front. But if there's any lag, let me know in the comments or in chat or wherever on YouTube, on Kick, or wherever you guys are watching. Even on the X side of things. Um, but yeah, let's see. Let's see. But but yeah. Let me check. It's fine. Um, but yeah. All right. Well, anyways, if you guys don't have any other questions, sorry, but if you guys don't have any other questions, yeah, I think we're gonna end the stream a little bit earlier today. But yeah, thanks for everybody for joining the stream. We have UFC 317 tomorrow. I may do a little bit of a stream for the prelims, a little bit of a watch along for the prelims, but I think for the main card, I'm not going to be streaming. But I almost definitely will be streaming as soon as the card's over. We can have a little bit more information. We could chat about some of the fights. Definitely really interesting to see what happens in the main event. But yeah, anyways, I appreciate everybody for joining the stream. Thanks so much from YouTube, from Kick, or from X, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, boys.